It's A and
About
P.
the architect
What?
building the house.
What?
Oh, actually, Dafka, that's not a story I learned from school. I can't believe it. How embarrassing.
My mistake, yeah.
You're asking me for a story I didn't learn
Which
from
one?
my
Let's see.
Rebbe.
Maybe.
And to my knowledge, they didn't even credit who gave this mashal. They tell the story of a contractor, how do you say, a kabbalan,
Yeah.
the real Kabbalist, right? Kabbalan. And this man was known to make those beautiful, beautiful houses in the world. I mean, they were just like, everybody knew his houses were, and yet he himself lived in a very, very broken down house.
Yeah.
It's like, how it often is. The people who, okay, so a very rich man hears about this. He says, how is this possible? This man who makes these beautiful houses and yet lives in, I've got to make sure he gets paid enough and everything. He calls him in. He says, listen, I understand you make the most beautiful houses in the world. I want you to make me the house of your dreams. I mean, because anything I could ask you to do couldn't possibly be as beautiful as anything you would suggest yourself. And and here's the thing. I'm paying you by the hour. I'm not asking you to make a bid on the job and I'll look for the guy who gives me the lowest bid. I want you to do it, and I don't care how long it takes because I want it done right. So I'll pay you by the hour, however long. You just keep track of your hours. And listen, another thing, the material, you turn in the receipts. I'll pay you for the cost. So get the finest of everything. And look, I don't care how long it takes. And besides, I'm going to be out of the country for the next year. I have some business overseas. You go to my secretary. You give her the receipts. You turn in your hours. She'll pay you. Everything will be taken care of. And I'll see the house when I come back. And he goes, and this man says, who could ask for more? It's my chance. I can finally build the house of my dreams. I get paid by the hour, Gewalt. And he draws up the plans, and it's beautiful. And he starts to work on it. And as he's laying the foundation, he says, to really do this right, I should do it this way, but it takes a long time. Why don't I do a shortcut? But I'll tell them that I did it the long way. So I make a little extra. This guy doesn't seem to have any problem with money. So he lays the simpler, and he said, I should use this kind of cement, but really, such a hassle getting it. I'll use the cheaper cement, but I'll build them like I'm using the expensive cement. And he's got the money, and it's really just as good. And every step along the way, he'd come to the next step to put in the frame, to lay the pipes, to put in the electricity, whatever. And every step, I should do it this way, but really, who's going to know the difference? And it's much faster this way, so I might as well, but I'll charge him like I did the other way. And all down the line, he does the shorter method with the cheaper material until he gets to the outer part, so he gets the best doorknobs and paints it with the prettiest paint. So from the outside, it looks like this is how it's all the way through. And he's gotten paid for all of his hours, he's gotten paid for all the material, everything he turned in. And the rich man returns from his business abroad, and the kabbalan comes to him, the contractor, and says, well, see, I completed the house, and it's really very beautiful, and here's the keys. I hope you're happy with my work. And the rich man says, oh no, it's not for me, it's for you. I thought you deserved to live in the house of your dreams. So, I mean, this story I can't tell without myself, shivering and crying, because we're constantly taking shortcuts that we think really don't matter, because we think, I daven fast because Hashem wants me to daven, so I'll daven, but so I have to daven fast because I don't have time, and does it really matter? But it's only for me, in a sense. It's like everything we do, we cut out the time, we use cheaper materials, we don't bring in the quality, and we think we're getting away with it, we think it's okay. And in the end, it's our makom in Olam Haba that we're building, and so on. So that's a story. I don't know who that came from, but it's
a Gewalt story, earth-shaking.
It's diplomatic.
I mean, it sounds like the kind of thing he'd tell, for sure to do.
In fact, I lived an hour away from school. I went to school in America, and every morning my father would tell us over Dublamanga stories.
Ah.
So,
Did I do okay?
yeah, it was the same. I heard it when I was 10. Same story.
Fantastic.
Great.
Unbelievable.
That's why I went to that.
Yeah.
It touched me, especially someone who built a house.
Yeah.
How you can't take shortcuts
Yeah.
because you pay for it.
It's right. It's right. We built a third, a tenth of a house, and we're still paying for it.
Heilige man.
Thank you.
So, this is what we learned.
Oh, God. You know, there's one more story, David. I hate to impose upon you.
Oi, the last workshop, Bill.
Yeah?
Yeah.
But a lot
I
of people
told it
never heard
at,
it.
I told it at the Taubmans.
Rabbi Rosen, you know the story about the penny? The Alter Rebbe? No. Sonia doesn't know it.
No.
And Miss Levine. What's your name now?
Peleg.
Peleg. Gewalt. Okay, and lay it on us fast.
You really want me to do it again?
No, I'd love to hear it myself.
Okay.
It's a Gewalt story. You have to tell it
Well,
1,000 times
I
because we
learned
need
it
it
from
on the...
you. This is one that definitely I learned from Shlomo. I also learned how to add the little details to it that maybe didn't come in the original.
You see, the original, they all had shortcuts because they
Right,
didn't realize
right. They took shortcuts on
they
the
have to
story.
tell the story. Yeah.
Okay, all right. So this story takes place in Eastern Europe,
200 years.
almost 200 years ago now.
Yeah.
And it's a little town where the local,
No, it was
Police-
Mamish and Mezerich by the Maggid.
oh, it's in Meserich.
Yeah.
Okay,
Simple
all right, so
as it
good.
is.
So now I'm
Yeah.
getting more correction on the story than I've ever gotten before. Okay.
Yeah.
So this is in Meserich, and the local policeman there is also the local tax collector, and he didn't feel he got paid very well with either job, so that when he was collecting his taxes, he usually kept a little bit for himself. He figured, listen, Russia's a very big place. You think they're really going to be able to tell whether I turned in the total amount of this and this? So he'd take a little bit for himself. It helped him with his income. And when even that wasn't enough and he was a little bit short, needed some money for something, he'd arrest somebody from the Jewish community and put a, bail on their head and say, ransom. And the Jews would always come up with it because they're into freeing their people. This is the one thing he knew about Jews. So he'd been doing this for many, many years. And one day he gets a letter from the central government saying, we've been going over our tax books and we've discovered that you haven't been turning in everything. And over this many years, it seems that you owe us some, 5,000 rubles. It's an enormous sum of money. And he says, oh my God, no, what am I going to do? I mean, obviously I don't have the money. If I'd had the money, I wouldn't have been stealing the money all this time. I've spent it. He says, when they come for it, and if I don't have it, it's Siberia, it's death, it's torture. I don't know what they're going to do to me. He was terrified. He said, what am I so worried about? I have another source of income. I forgot. I'll just arrest somebody from the Jewish community and hold them for 5,000 rubles. So he goes out and he arrests a young man. And here the story really starts. I mean, to arrest anybody for no reason is already a tragedy. To arrest somebody for no reason and put a bail of such a large sum on their head, more of a tragedy. But on top of that, this young man had been an orphan his whole life. Never had family, never had anyone. The town had done their best to take care of him. They had given him an education, had found a place for him to sleep and provide him his clothing, and when he was old enough, they taught him a trade. When they noticed he was getting old enough to have a family. He thought, this would really be our final thing we can do for him, is to find somebody for him to marry, and now he'll finally have a family of his own. And they began searching to find a good wife for him. And they discovered in a town not far away a young woman who had also been an orphan her whole life. And they thought, this is too much. Two people who have never had any family. And we have a chance to bring them together, and they'll be a family, and both. So everybody was involved. They were making the clothes, they were cooking the food, they were brewing the wine, they were practicing the music. Everybody was into this preparation. And this is the young man who's arrested. Short time before the wedding. So, I mean, it's like a dark cloud is over the community, but it's particularly dark, not because of all that tragedy, but the sum of money is something they don't have. This is a small, poor town. When it's 100 rubles, okay. When it's 500, okay. I mean, 1,000 was really already completely out of their possibility. But they said, well, if we sell everything, we do this. They counted their pennies, they counted their possessions. They had meeting after meeting. They saw there was no way whatsoever. They don't have it. What are they going to do? So at this point, one of the rabbis in the town, who later became a very great rabbi, was the Rebbe who began the whole movement of Lubavitch, of Chabad. He called his two friends, Reb Levi Yitzhak Berdichev and
Mendele
Reb
Vitebsk.
Mendele of Vitebsk. He said, listen, he says, I have a plan. I have a plan, and I'm pretty sure it'll work. And I need your support. But I just need your moral support. I don't want you to say anything. I don't want you to get me. Just be with me. I think I know how to get the money. They said, okay, great, so we'll come, but at least give us a hint. Where are we going? What have you got in mind? He says, that miser on the outskirts of town, we're going to go to him. I said, you're crazy. This guy broke off in the Jewish community so long ago. He hates every Jew. People who come near his house, he takes a shot at them because he knows they only want his money. We can't do it. He says, look, first of all, do we have any other choice? He's the only one who has that kind of money. Secondly, if this isn't the finger of Hashem himself pointing at him, he says, and besides, he says, I have a plan. He says, okay. So they go. And they get up to the door, and they knock. And the miracle's already happening. He didn't shoot them. Wow, it's good. And this miser comes to the door. What do you want? Says, please forgive us for disturbing you. We know how busy you are and how important your time is, but just the most tragic thing has happened, and we need your help. We have no one else to turn to. And tells the whole story. This orphan, and we raised him and took care of him, and now he was going to get married. Now he's been arrested, and 5,000 rubles, and we just... Please, can't you help? And this miser, there's already a tear rolling down his cheek. He says, I really want to help. He says, wait right here. And he runs back into the house, and the three of us say, who would have thought? You're right, go, And he comes back and says, please accept us. Gives him 1 penny. And not just any old penny. This was a dirty penny. This penny was filthy. It was black. But the Rebbe took it. He says, he says, thank you so much. Thank you so much. He says, Mamish, he says, I bless you. God should give you everything good in your life. I bless you with health and with wisdom. God should give you the strength to do so much good. And I bless you with such joy from your family. And I bless you that Hashem should give you this. And he's pouring out brachas. From the depths of his heart. The ways that we realize that we don't even know how to get brachas anymore. And he's going on and pouring out more brachas and more brachas. And his 2 other Rebbes are starting to pull on his coat saying, no, enough already. There's halachas of how many brachas you can give for a penny. Really, And he's sort of ignoring them. And he says, so really, and thank you so much. And God bless you, and thank you so much. And they go. This one say, don't you think you're overdoing a little bit? He says, Chafnish. He says, it's not over yet. He says, I told you, please, just, I need you there, but, and they're walking down the street, and sure enough, the rich man comes out. He says, wait, please come back. I want to help. I want to help some more. Okay, let's try it again. They go back. He says, wait right here. Runs back in the house, comes back out. Another penny. And the Rebbe says, your father, thank you so much. Mommy, she says, I bless you. God should give you the strength to do so much good in the world. And I bless you. God should give you the wisdom to do this and the help to do that. And again, he's pouring it each time. It's a different, special, deep bracha. Now it's reaching to the roots, slowly. And after all these brachas, he says, so thank you so much, and God bless you, and they go. And again he goes, please come back. I want to help some more. They come back a third time. This goes on for many, many trips. And it's another penny and another penny. But after many, many, many brachas, it's already a ruble. And many more brachas. And it's 10 rubles. And it's 20 rubles. And it's 50. And it's another trip and more brachas. And each time he's giving more. And it's 1,000 and it's 2,000 and it's 5,000. And they got it. Unbelievable. They race over to the policeman, say, here's your money, please release this young man. The young man is released. They say, the wedding's tonight, we're not taking a chance, no more delays. The music is coming out, the food is ready, the clothes are finished up. It's a triple simcha. I mean, it's a wedding. It's the redemption of somebody who's been held captive. Big, big thing. And it's the coming out party of this miser who's been completely cut off from his community for so long. I mean, the joy is unbelievable. The food, the music. Of course, the policeman comes too. He says, listen, good booze, good food, might as well enjoy myself. And as he's drinking away, suddenly he says, you know what? As good as this is, I'm sitting with 5,000 rubles. If I sit around long enough, they're going to come from the government and take it from me. But if I leave town, I can live off of this for a long time. I got to be crazy to be here. And he hops on his wagon, gives a whip to his horses. But as we've learned in our modern day and age, it's really not good to drink and drive. And he's thrown from the wagon, hits his head on the street, and he's dead. Everybody in the wedding sees this happen. The whole thing stops, the music stops, everything. They run out to the road. And the Rebbe is there and he sees he's dead. Reaches in his pocket and pulls out the envelope with all the money. And he walks back to this miser and says, well, this is really your lucky day. Here's your money back. And the miser says, no. He says, it's not my money. He says, give it to that young couple. That'll really give them a good, strong start in life. He said, now wait a minute. I mean, it's one thing. Everybody knew how many brachas it took and what they had to do to squeeze this money out of this miser. He had a chance to get it back. And he's saying, no, give it to this young couple, just like that. So people are just blown away. So the three rabbis are sitting together afterwards, and the two are saying, okay, come on out with it. What did you do? How did you do that? I mean, he's really not a miser anymore. What did you do? He says, remember, I told you I had a plan. Yeah? He says, so? He says, it's like this. He says, remember anything in particular about the first penny he gave? No, I remember it was a penny. It was a miser. It was, No. He said, oh, yeah, I remember. It was a dirty penny. It was a filthy penny. He says, yeah. He says, do you know why that penny was so dirty? Pennies get dirty. I mean, they go from... No, he says, that penny was so dirty because he'd been holding on to it for so long. Been holding on to it for so long. He says, and do you know why he held on to it for so long? Yeah, because he's a miser. Well, yes, he was critical. No. He was holding on to it for so long because nobody would take it from him. Nobody would accept it from him. He says, said, this is what I understood. See, it didn't matter that he was a millionaire. He only had the strength to give 1 penny. He only had the strength to give 1 penny. What would happen? People would come to him for help. He'd offer the penny. They'd say, you dirty miser. Keep your filthy penny. I knew he had the strength to give 1 penny, so I took it. And I blessed him that God should give him the strength to give more. I blessed him that God should give him the strength to come into his full capacity. That's all I did. All I did. I just gave him, and with all the brachas, he had the strength to give another penny. Good. I took it. I accepted it. I received it from him, and I blessed him that God should give him the strength to give more. But once he's come into his full capacity, he's there. He doesn't have to work at it anymore. That's all I did. I just brought him, blessed him to be who he really is. That's a story.
Unbelievable story.
When I think of it in the context of what we learned yesterday about getting to the roots, I mean, to really understand the power of prayer and the power of brachas. It's one thing for the person to cry and pray for themselves. It's another thing when a Rebbe can bless a person, can bring that flow down to water those roots of the roots of the roots, that a person gets in touch with who they really are. That's something else. I mean, that's usually my introductory story when I teach about Kabbalah, because Kabbalah means to receive. So I say, the thing is, we don't know how to receive. Somebody offers something little. I say, oh, thanks, keep it. I ask a friend, have you got a little bit of time? He says, I just got a minute. So I say, keep your lousy minute. I'll go talk to him. So I say, thank you, I'll take your minute, and I bless you. You should have more time, whatever. And with us the same way. We offer sometimes a little bit. Sometimes the best thing we can do is accept what we offer to each other and bless each other to have the capacity to do more.
Yeah? Thank you so much for this advice.
Thank you for the story and the license to expand on it.
I'd like to ask you a question, but you don't have to answer, and it's supposed to be asked.
No, you have to
It's
ask.
nothing to do with it.
Yeah.
But I'd like to know how you came forward. Because from the little I know, I don't think it's not from a Hasidic background, from what I understand.
You don't think it comes from where?
I don't think you come from a Hasidic background.
Not so much, no.
So I want to know how you came forward.
He's going to the roots, Romero. You see, I tell you, first of all, okay, I tell you the whole story, yeah? I'll make it short as short as I can. Make it long as I can, okay. My elder Zed, right? Lived in Ishbitzer. And he was a chassid of the Meir Shloach. The Rebbe we are learning from my main man, who lived he passed away, I would say, about 90 years, but he lived about 150 years. I'll tell you what. My Zayda Seder, yeah. So, the Zayda of my Zayda. That's pretty long, yeah. And, okay, he lived in Ishbitzer, and he, Mamash, had nothing to eat. And then he heard that they're looking for a rabbi in Germany. Today it's called Lübeck, but at that time it was called Meusling. It's a city half hour away, 45 minutes from Hamburg, right on the ocean. Beautiful city. And at that time the Jews lived in a ghetto, and you heard they're looking for a rabbi. You know that say in Israel they think everybody in America has gold in his pockets, right? So in those days in Poland they said, Jews in Germany. Wow, they're very rich, right? So he's coming to Meusling, and he sees there more food than the Yid in Poland. And as little as he had to eat in Poland, he has even less to eat but he was ashamed to go back, so he stayed. And he had, the thing is, he's not my Zayd on my father's side. I mean on my father's side, but on my father's mother's side. So here comes the sad part. I don't want to say anything bad about my Zayd, but this is what was bugging me all the time. He had 2 daughters, and he never told them one Torah. For the very Yid, the Heilige Yid, he didn't give anything over to his daughters.
Because they were
Daughters. Yeah, heartbreaking. Okay, so then one of his daughters married, she was on this, and then the daughter of this one married Rabbi Carlebach, and so on. I bought the Meir Shiloach when I was in Lakewood. I would say, let's say around 1950, right?
Why? How did you feel about it?
I tell you what, Biegeleisen, at that time was the biggest swarm dealer in New York. After the war, they're beginning to ship over books who they found in Poland, and they destroyed the Smervischen. So he had a list of new swarm, and then he had a list of swarm he got shipments from Europe. And it's very, very precious, right? And he wrote, this one is you can get anywhere, and this is only one in the world. I get in the list it says Meir Shiloach from Rabbi Shlomo, and he says there's only 1 or 2 more swarm like this left in the world, and it's $100. In those days, around $100 was a lot of money. I don't know why. I just took me a few years to pay off, but I ordered it. Just struck me. And then I looked at it. It didn't make sense to me. So I should have sent it back because I don't understand it. Somehow my heart didn't let me. Then I came home again. I was in Lakewood. I said to my father, I bought this Sefer Meir Shiloach, and I should send it back, but just my heart doesn't let me. This was the first time I even heard that my Zayde was a chassid of the Meir Shiloach. So I said to my father, it's unbelievable, so I better keep it. It's the rabbi of my great-great-grandfather. But he says, how come you never told me anything about it? He says, because he never told anything to his daughters. So they didn't say anything to their children. And you know what it is? It was, my brother and I, it struck us so deep. So he doesn't talk to his daughters. But what he's doing, he's not talking to his grandsons either, right? Because if you don't tell them stories, imagine if I would have first-hand report from Ishmael, right? So anyway, this is one of the reasons, I realize now that you got to open our mouth, You better talk to your daughters, Today, especially today, it's not a question of teaching. It's just saving your own neshama, your own life, the life of your family forever, and just keeping the light of all those millions of Yid. Anyway, this is my connection to Ishbitzer. But my connection to Lubavitch is 1936. The last Friedrich Lubavitcher Rebbe, he was in Siberia, and they beat him up so much that he came out. When he came out, he was paralyzed. Was not a sickness that he was paralyzed, but his nerves were completely exhausted. Completely exhausted. Heartbreaking. Anyway, there was this doctor in Vienna, and he said he had found a cure. People came from the whole world, like energy for the nerves or the muscles. I'm sure maybe today, the world is already more advanced. But then they didn't have it, never. He was there for a few weeks and nothing happened. So the present Rebbe, he was like the gather, and my father came with my brother and me to ask for a bracha. He walked into the rabbi, you know the rabbi. Not much a rabbi, you know, something else. In Vienna, yeah. So the rabbi he was sitting there, now he was Perla, he was sitting, me on this side, my brother on this side, and then he says, I bless you. He said Yiddish, so, is het daar Chassidische Jiden? Dat is eigenlijk een Duitse Engler. He says, be Chassidische Jiden and don't become German little kids. You know?
Can you say it again?
He says, of Yiddish? No, he says, become Chassidische Jiden and don't grow up like German little kids, you know. What even Orthodox Jewish kid, you know, knows a bit, woman a little bit. Better be for real. So, we took it very serious, my brother and I. And then he told us two more things. He says, I want you to sleep in the talis cotton. Yeah. And to bench from a siddur. Talis cotton I always sleep in it, but sometimes I don't bench from a siddur, sometimes forget, but I should. Anyway, so 1941 the Rabbi came to America. And you know, children between 6 and 13, 14 already look different, right? When the Rebbe arrived in America, so my father went to the ship. We all went, 1,000 people. But we were standing on the side. My father, the rabbi spoke into Shigen Ferim, so the Rebbe said to my father, I saw your two kids standing on the pier. No, he mamish. There they saw one person who could see him 100 years later. And so then miraculously, my father became the rabbi in young Israel of Crown Heights, 3 blocks away from Lubavitch. So Shabbos, instead of davening my father, he didn't mind, so we davened Lubavitch. At that time Lubavitch was just the beginning, had maybe 20 people on the Shabbos, right? There was nobody there. And you know, by the Friedrich Rebbe davening Shabbos, he don't daven the hours, mamish hours. So everybody was like, mamish davening. So this was the beginning of my humble training. So then my brother and I, we were so close to Lubavitch. Then we went to Lakewood, and the Rebbe wanted very much that we should learn Lubavitch. So my brother jumped and he went to Lubavitch. And God will have to forgive me. You know, I'm learning in Lakewood, Barab Aaron, you know, who's the giant of all giants. And Lubavitch has a little broken yeshiva, 20 kids, and have a little yeshiva there, you know. I didn't want to, you know, tell you the truth. And my parents didn't want to, so I didn't go. So I stayed. So my brother is in Lubavitch, so he married Lubavitch, right, my sister-in-law. Her father is the cousin of the president of Lubavitch Rebbe, so Gewalt. So, and in the meantime I was learning in Lakewood. But in Lakewood is the top yeshiva of the world still. When I was in that yeshiva, there were only 17. But it was like, Rabbi Aaron was the greatest Talmud scholar of the world. Right, Rabbi Rosen, am I right?
There were only 17?
17 in my time.
Bocher.
Because he wanted Mamish the best. He didn't want just the yeshiva.
Who is Rabbi Aaron?
Aaron Kotler. Yeah, he came from Poland, from Kletsk, Lithuania, Poland. And he was one of the greatest geniuses in the world. Someone met him, not a Jewish person, but a worldly person, professor. Spoke to him, he said, I could swear that he is 7 times Einstein. 7 times Einstein. I mean, his IQ must have been 500, who knows what. I mean, the way he was thinking, you know, what other people think in a year, he thought in a second, you know, like. It was awesome to talk to him. You open your mouth, and you say, and he knows really what you want to say, right? and you talk so fast, you better listen to every word, and then you want to say something else. You say, and you know the word, and the answer's already. So before you look around, you're finished, right? And you say twice, and the whole thing is over, right? You know, I learned it for 6 years, and each time I talked to you, my teeth were shivering. I'm telling you. Not so simple, yeah? It was awesome. Anyway, I learned in Lakewood, and then I really learned a lot. Rabbi was like, he was like, Mamash was a privilege from heaven. Not everybody was really privileged, like, to take over his learnings, like, okay, I had the privilege, like, anyway, then the Friedrich Rebbe passed away, and then the present Rebbe became the Rebbe, and I was always very close to him. Even when I was in Lakewood, he was always talking to me and everything. So when he became the Rebbe, the first day he called me in, and he says, I want to make this your business. He says, it's not praying too much. He says, God gave you real talent to talk to people. What the world needs now, what young people need someone to talk to them. So I want you to go out and talk to young people. And I said to him, so what's going to be with my learning? Because for me, learning was the most important. He says, forget about yourself. So when I walked out from there, it was like really a new person, mamish. He gave me a different neshama. But I walked down the street before, I didn't care who was walking. So they looked at me, hey, maybe there's someone that they have to talk to, So I would talk to people day and night, day and night, day and night. I would not, what? Everywhere. And, today Lubavitch is big on college campuses. That time there was nothing, I get a call from a girl from Columbia University. She says, would you be interested in teaching Chassidus at Columbia? I'm going into the Rebbe, and I said to the Rebbe, I had this call. You think we should do it? And the Rebbe says, let me think about it. It's a delicate thing to go to teach Chassidus universities. I said to the Rebbe, forgive me, but I'm going. If she puts it in front of me, why shouldn't I go, Today Lubavitch is everything, I don't want to break, it was the first major breakthrough. And it was unbelievable, I had thousands of people, mamish thousands. And I have to tell you one unbelievable thing, this Columbia group was very, very strong. I was learning with them everything. But at that time I was only learning Lubavitch, Okay, 2 million stories, but to make it very short. The saddest thing is, 2 things happened to me. When I was working for Lubavitch, obviously I would never ever shake hands with a woman. I mean, I'd kill myself before I shake hands with a woman. Really, I mean, what? No, it's okay. If not, you'll give me something. Anyway, okay, one day there was one girl, and a mamasha picked her up on the street. She was like a girl who had absolutely no self-confidence. She was so beautiful, so sweet. You can have her for $1, like heartbreaking. What happened to her? Her father had a candy store, in New York, a candy store. You open 6 in the morning and you come home 1. Her mother was dead. She had nobody. She grew up on a street corner never. And Mamish took her under my wings, and she was Mamish coming for Shabbos, and she was dressed like a mensch already, She was, oh Mamish, Steve, you're the best. To make it short, one day this girl comes up to me and she says, you know something? Because of you, hey, the greatest man in the world is coming. Says because of, how's your Shana, okay? Yeah. She says, because of you, she says, I changed my whole life. And she walks up to me, and she wanted to kiss me. A girl kissing me. I ran out backwards from the room. I didn't know what to do with myself. She never showed up again. I thought to myself, it's crazy, right? So what would have happened if she would have given me a kiss, right? She didn't want anything. The room was full of people, I'm crazy. And losing this girl, So one thing, Mamish, made me sick inside. It means there's something wrong with me, not with her. Second thing which made me realize that I'm doing it wrong, I'm coming to Cornell University. And there are 100 students.
You never met her again?
Well, Cornell University.
You never met this girl again?
I never seen her again. Okay, I put in the end. I want you to know, I was so broken. I thought, Mamish, that's it. Obviously, one way or the other, I didn't know that she really kept it up. Many years later, I'm sitting on a plane, going from New York to Israel, and a boy of 17 is sitting next to me. And I said, my mother is a big follower of you. What's this girl? And her son is going to yeshiva in Israel, So it was okay, I was eating my heart out. I guess she felt embarrassed because I ran out, so she... Anyway, that's that part. But the second part is, I was at Cornell University, about 100 students show up, right? And just remember, this is 52, 53, it's not of today, when the yarmulke is all over the place, right? When I was at Columbia University, there was only one more yarmulke besides me, there was nobody there. Everybody who went to university would take up the yarmulke. Anyway, to make it even super short, I announced, man on one side, women on the other side. I look at their faces, I lost 90. I said, it's not for us, Not for me. Then I announced faithfully to Lubavitch, girls are not permitted to sing. I lost another 9, right? I am left not with the best, with the one idiot who came by himself. Stupid. So I told the Rebbe both stories. And I said to the Rebbe, you know something? We are dealing, I said, if someone has a heart attack, you give him a manicure? Those kids, they know nothing about Yiddishkeit. So what am I doing? The first thing I told them, the manicure, man on one side, women on the other side. After they're 10 years into Yiddishkeit, maybe it's important. Maybe I'm not judging it, but this is not the first thing you teach them. The first thing in the world is not teaching the girls women are not permitted to sing. Turn them off completely. So I said, I have to change my ways. If I want to bring young people back to Yiddishkeit, I have to do it in a different way. And the Rebbe, I don't know some of you, but the Rebbe sits behind his desk, was serious, The Rebbe got up and Mamish was sitting by the window for a half hour. I could see Mamish is really thinking very, very deep. He says, I cannot tell you what not to do, and I cannot tell you what to do, but if you want to do something on your own, be matzliach. So, we split a little bit. So the first few years I was still coming to him. I would send all my big fishes and herrings to Lubavitch, But then I realized, the more I was on my own, the more I realized that I have a different way of it. It's crazy, I don't want to say anything bad, but this is how it was. There was a big television show from Channel 13. And they invited Lubavitch to come. They invited Satmar. Satmar said, we don't go on television. Bobov said, we don't go on television. Lubavitch said, they are going on television, but they don't want to sit on the same table with me. Yeah. And then, this must have been, no. He was maybe 71, 72, you know. This was late, but I'm telling you.
When you came out with the music and
Everything. Yeah. Anyway, so then the 9.5 mystic, what's his name, brother?
Herbert Weiner.
Yeah, and Arthur Waskow. But the Lubavitch said they should all sit on a different table. Maybe the Lubavitch would have had a little bit more menschish, but anyway, they didn't themselves a table. Okay, it was, who cares, right? So, they're sitting on one table like here, and we, the rest, sitting on a table over there. But I could hear, so his interview, you know the interviewer has a mic in his hand, he talks 1 minute to Lubavitch, right? Then he walks up to me, you know, things like that. I listen to Lubavitch. Sweet, you know, they're talking about mitzvahs. I didn't hear one word about even loving another person. I didn't hear one word. I didn't hear one word about taking care of the world. Like it was, to do mitzvahs, yes, you have to do mitzvahs. Yeah, mamash, you have to do mitzvahs, and you have to do mitzvahs, and you have to do mitzvahs. I know you have to do mitzvahs. But, I mean, it was sweet. I thought to myself, was I talking like this when I was in the Lubavitch? Maybe I did. If I did, I'm glad I'm not there. But the biggest joke in the world was, the Lubavitch sent 2 men and 2 women. Yeah, and the husband of one of those girls was from the House of Love and Prayer. When I met him, he was real a heroin addict, and I put so much. I called him day and night. There were times when I called him up 4 times from New York just to make sure he's not taking it. I woke up to his wife. I said, "You know something? You don't want to sit with me at the same table. If I would be, I'd be ashamed of myself. If not for me, your husband would be dead by now from an overdose. Oh, whom are you fooling? I think you can fool the world, but you don't have to fool yourself." She's like, no. But I realized that I grew out of this hall, that I am but 5 steps ahead, you know? A little bit. Maybe not, but that's how it felt to me, you know? You know, television, we're talking to the world. I'm not talking to Moshe Chaim on the Lenzer Street and telling him to put on film. I have to, right? This is beautiful. You're talking to the world. Channel 13, all Americans watching. It's a message to the world. What do you want? So if you don't say you want to fix the whole world, then don't give a message. And I don't say, my message is that Yidden should put on film. It's very nice. But when I'm a little boy in Iowa City and I want to hear what the Lubavitch has to say, then they tell me, you know, the Rebbe has people and they walk around putting on film. I say, it's not my thing, you know. I turn it off. But this was a message to the world. Right? Anyway. You know, when I made the House of Love and Prayer, you know, today Lubavitch has a lot of houses. You know, Lubavitch is always like following me very, very closely behind me. So when I opened the house, Lubavitch said, it's the most terrible thing ever happened to Judaism. It's a house of prostitution and of drug addicts. But then 2 months later, they opened a little house in Berkeley. And they had men and women not sitting together even Friday night for the feast. So they had nobody, right? Then they realized you can't do it. Maybe by the davening you have a mechitza, but not by the feast, right? And even if the feast is all the money they had, maybe the most they had ever without Hashem's right? Let's assume they had 50. Joni knows the House of Love and Prayer, we had mob. And the Simcha Friday night, the davening was hours, right? So I realized maybe God had compassion upon me and I just a little bit advanced Judaism.
We never had a Shabbos that didn't last 2.5 days.
Yeah, I know. What's the word now? I tell you an unbelievable thing. One time I came back from Paris, and at that time, not anymore, but at that time there was a non-stop TWA, Paris, San Francisco. And it's a very small plane, because it's flying very, very high. And you cannot even lean back, you just have to sit straight. Now it's already more advanced, but this was, let's say, this was maybe, I would say, 69. I'm taking this plane, and besides everything else, the plane was late. I was supposed to arrive Friday 1 o'clock. We arrived after 4. Before you look around, Shabbos. So, let's say half the way we could go in a taxi, the other half we had to walk. So, we paid the taxi off, hopefully that he'll deliver my stuff in the house. And the Chevra and I were some of the Chevra walking with me. Okay, I'm sitting for maybe, at that time, at least 12 hours like this you could. Then you walk 2 hours. I'm arriving in the house at 8 o'clock Friday night. All those kids. I said to Arya, I'm just falling apart. I don't have an ounce of strength. So, Mamish, tonight, you got to daven fast. Okay, we daven. Then we sing Shalom Aleichem. I make Kiddush. And I turn to Arya, Arya Kupas was my top man. I say, Arya, what time is it? He says, 4:15. 4:15. 8 hours davening. It was something else, Awesome. But anyway, it was good days. But you see what it is. I mentioned it also. What I realized, Lubavitch is very beautiful, but maybe they are tough in doing things. But when it comes to reach, like we're learning last night, the roots, Breslov has something which nobody has. From Nachman Breslov was Shemta's grandson. And Ishbitzi, Awesome. I don't know, Rabbi Rosen, if you're here. I was telling Tzvi Yehuda Kohen, Rav Kook's son, he asked me about the House of Love and Prayer that I was always talking to him. So he says to me, what are you learning with them? I said, a little bit Lubavitch, but mostly Breslov and Ishbitzer. So he says, I'll tell you something. He says, my father, Rav Kook, from all the rabbis, the two rabbis who had the most end ties was Breslov and Ishbitzer. End ties, Mom was really like Breslov, even Sida wanted to wipe them out. The most heartbreaking thing in the world is, that some rabbis got permission from the Russian government that it is permitted to kill Breslov Chassidim?
From which government?
From Russia. They told them that they're enemies of not only of Russia, they're enemies of mankind.
Who said that?
Someone came to the Russian government at that time and they told them that there's this Rebbe, like a cult, even worse than a cult, but gefährlich, it makes people crazy. So in Russia it doesn't take much to get permission to kill, So they came out with a decree, was hanging on street corners, that it is permitted to kill Breslov Chassidim. Miraculously, nothing happened, but
maybe that's why they call them the Tete Chassidim.
yeah. Tun die Gewalt. Doch atem noch einem Schaken im Door. You're going, darling.
I have to go back to work. I just wanted to see how it's seen.
Okay, I love you, darling. Hope I see you soon.
I just have one more question.
Yeah.
In the Kula of Iwan,
Yeah.
what image did you have of Hasidus if you weren't brought up that way?
You see what
Normally, people need an image of something. They see an example, but they don't.
I tell you. You see?
You have to do some of this.
Yeah, I tell you. You see what it is? In reality, I saw very little in Chassidus the way I wanted it to be. But I realized that it could be, right?
How could you have done that without ever having seen something?
Yeah, but
Maybe-
you said your father took you
Yeah, you
to a lot of
just-
Hasidim when you were
But I
young. So
still,
when you-
it's still the rabbis, but I didn't,
One
I still,
vignette.
I still didn't see what I wanted to see. But I knew what it could be, right? I tell you something, Rabbi Rosen is right. At one time, I came to the Holy War, and I saw a young man who I saw in Australia. He walked up to me, and now he's the best of a chassid, as a shtramer. He walked up to me, and he was crying. He says, Shlomo, I should beat you up. He says, you know why I became frum? Because of everything you told me in Australia when I was there. But you were lying. The frum community isn't like it. They're not. Here I'm becoming frum because I want to be part of this absolutely holiest community in the world. And they come here and they're not. You know. You see, so what should I do? But I was giving over to the Chevra the way I hope it should be.
Shlomo,
Yeah?
I think one of the things that all these people who feel this way need to realize is that if all of them would become the kind of
That's
people,
it, yeah.
and then they would make a community that was like the community they're looking for, and then other people could say, this, at least this part of the community it exists, it's real, it's what I'm looking for, or closer to it than something else.
100% right. You have no other way to. You have to keep your vision alive. And you have no choice. And imagine I'll come to Australia, and then I will tell all the hey. Mazel tov, darling. If the baby's only half as cute as you is. How's everything good? So proud of you, darling. But you know, Rabbi Rosen, it must have been mamish schus overs. Maybe my bobas and my dadas prayed me out, you know. See, when we had the house of prayer, I would come back to New York and I would say, the real Chassidim of the Baal Shem Tov are in San Francisco, not in New York, you know. They were the best material, right? I have to tell you something about Rabbi Yoshe, you know. Remember, he passed away last week. I don't know if you heard that he was, those two greatest giants of last generation in learning was Rabbi Aaron, and the second one, his counterpart, was Rabbi Yoshe, right? See, Rabbi Aaron was like this way. Was very, very deep, but this way, you know, connecting one thing to the other. Before you know it, it's like infinite. Rabbi Yoshe is only on the spot.
I was just going to say that.
Oh yeah. No, I didn't. Okay, I'm sorry. See me, I need you all the time. Rabbi Soloveitchik, he was a rabbi in Boston. He passed away 2 weeks ago. Anyway.
And Rav Aaron is Rav Aaron Kotler.
Rabban Kotler, those two, you know.
This is Rabbi Shlomo Carlebach. He does have a last name also, though.
Oh, brother.
You know it.
What I want to tell you is that when we were in the house of love and prayer, and I saw, see, if the Jewish community would have supported us, we could have saved a whole generation. No, you know, 68, 69 is when suddenly our Jewish young people became interested in other religions. We had the chance to move it, to do something unbelievable. We could have turned over the page. You know, I went to one of the big Rosh Yeshivas, I'm mentioning names. I told him, you know what, we need new yeshivas because thousands of kids are coming back to Yiddishkeit. You know what he said? He says, I've never heard a comedian like you.
They didn't take you seriously.
You know, anyway, let's forget it. What I want to tell you is that I went to Rabbi Shlomo. It was like a little bit of a chutzpah, but I said, Rabbi Shlomo, you are sitting here in Yeshiva University, and let's say you have in your class 200 for Smith and 200 kids. Let's say 20 are really gewalt, right? 180 very mediocre. And what they want of Yiddishkeit is very little. They don't have the mamish in the vision what they want of the world of Yiddishkeit. They're going to get smicha, get a position, knock off a speech, and live happily forever. It says in San Francisco, there are thousands of kids, the best kids. More talented, they are more talented at Toast than the whole yeshiva here they have. And he said, Rabbi Shlomo, how would it be to you if he could bring you to San Francisco? And I said, you know, the Bochum here, they think they know what you're saying, but they don't. There you'll have Chavra Mamish. They will Mamish learn and the whole time I'm telling this, I never forget that he was smiling the whole time. Going like this, you know. And then he said, you know, like, I'm asking him the impossible, right? I'm asking him for something which he knows he should, because we could change the world, right? He says, I'll tell you, let me think about it, and I will leave a message for you, you know. He said, if I want to talk to you, I'll leave a message for you. Well, that was it, you know. It was the last time we spoke to each other. 69. Long time. Who knows, right? What kind of material we had to make rabbis, you know. Fire kids. See, the world didn't have vessels for those kids. You know. It had no vessels for it. All right. Okay, we got to do it again.
So,
Yeah? You need a nigga fast. Okay. You want to give me my guitar? Where's the guitar?
Everything is perfect, isn't it?
Yeah. It is and it isn't. Oh, no, shit. Oh, put it maybe on C.
When I was there,
Huh?
when you were at the university in San Francisco, you not only brought Yiddishkeit to the Jews, but you brought it also to the non-Jews.
I know, it was unbelievable, right? I don't want to brag, but I'll tell you, I was the first night Hanukkah in Santa Cruz, 1968. And there were a few Jewish kids and 80% non-Jewish kids, right? And a few days later I got a call from a non-Jewish girl, who was my friend for years, that the whole school was watching Hanukkah list every night. Okay, I wish maybe there was someone did, but you know, like, there was an official Yom Tov, you know. Told them all about the Hagonos, you know, the inside light shining on Hanukkah. These kids had vessels for it. Da 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 da. I have some kind of thing here for the throat. Let's see if it works. Doesn't work. You know the famous joke that the president of this big shul is sitting in a non-kosher restaurant, sitting with shrimps, and then the rabbi passes by and he puts his face on the window of the restaurant and he looks. Can't believe it, my president is eating ham. He says, what's going on here? He says, it's under rabbinic supervision. Anyway, okay, we didn't learn yet, so let's learn a little bit, but the deepest. You're learning Torah Test Zayin on the other side. Let me first tell you outside and we'll learn inside. Yeah. Let's start from there, right? Someone asked me, what is an assimilated Jew? I said to him, an assimilated Jew is not somebody who doesn't keep Shabbos. I'm not judging, he doesn't keep Shabbos. But at least he knows that there are Yidden in the world who keep Shabbos, right? He knows there are Shabbos in the world. I'm sorry, I don't do it, but there is, right? I'll tell you as an example. I'm coming to Bahia in Brazil for a concert, Saturday night. The plane was late, and Mom is arriving a few minutes before Shabbos. And they're so sweet to see. You know, they talk Yiddish in South America, and sweet is not the word. And they pick me up from the airport, and they drive me to the hotel, which is 2 minutes away. Then I ask them, how far is the shul from here? They say, shul? 5 minutes. And by that moment was already, Shabbos was already there. So I assumed they meant 5 minutes walking, right? But they meant 5 minutes driving. Okay, I'm coming down, it's mamish dark. So they said, okay, let's go to shul. And they opened the car. I said, no, I'm not driving on Shabbos. So they said to me, we never heard this in our lives. You don't drive on Shabbos? They thought I was joking. They literally thought I was joking. They said, no, I'm not driving. The things which I didn't know, the highway goes, a Gewalt highway, on the highway takes 5 minutes to shul. But when you walk, so all the street look there, takes about 2 hours. Anyway, so they hired a little Spanish little boy, gave him a few pennies there. He should walk me to shul. And this little boy could not understand, why am I not driving, right? So he thought that I belonged to this very primitive cult, and we are not permitted to drive in a car. And I'm walking with him. He was so cute. I couldn't talk to him. He was just cute. The whole time he says to me, religioso primitivo. What a primitive religion. Primitivo, you know, the whole thing. Meaning, well, why are you so primitive, you know? Anyway. I want you to know, it is one thing not to know anything, to know something, right? And then higher and higher, right? Okay, I'll tell you something else. I met this frumme Yid. He's very frum. He has a Streimer. And I told him this was by the Friedrich Rebbe. Achenscher Pesach, you know. The last Tisch by the Friedrich Rebbe, Mashiach Suda, right? Not from this world, right? Mamish not from this world. You know? So he has already a Streimer from Yid. And he says to me, so, look, you know, at that time was still Sadma meat, Belzer meat. The Babish, Boshem, now they have their own meat, but that time they didn't have their own meat yet. So what's he asking? He wanted to know where the Rebbe gets the meat for Yom Tov. So he says, I tell him about Mashiach Suda by the Rebbe, right? Who cares? I mean, did anybody notice? We didn't know what we were eating. Maybe we weren't eating at all. I don't know. So he says to me, he says, were they eating meat? You know? Are we getting Fleisch? Look this. I'm thinking to myself, this is crazy. You know what that means? He didn't know what I was talking about, right? You know, when it comes to God, there are billions of levels, right? I'll tell you, you know, Mamish is one God. So I have this Gewalt vision. There's a big machine, a big computer up there. And Mamish, everything's computerized. Exactly when summer begins, when the night begins, Mamish Gewalt. I can imagine that God is a computer, right? I don't know how it got into the computer. It's a computer. Then you have a little bit more of an idea what God is all about. And I still don't know what God is, right? Imagine to reach the level that I really don't know what God is. You know? Not because I don't know, because I know so much. I know so much. So before we begin to learn, I have to tell you two things. In Egypt, the highest level we reached. It was very much clear to us that God is leading us by the hand. It was clear to us. What are we doing in Egypt? Right? The whole thing is crazy. Yosef Tzaddik saves the country. And we are the richest people in Egypt, right? And suddenly they're making slaves out of us. And we also know that one day will come out. And how come we are holding on to it? I mean, just listen to me. Today, you know, the Gemara says, why did we get out of Egypt? 3 things we kept. We never changed our names. There was not a Jewish kid who suddenly had the name Fritz or Hans. I don't say anything bad. Would you believe that in Germany there are Jewish kids who are still given the name Adolf? You come to a bris, the Kol Shmoy B'Yisrael Adolf. sounds like a Charlie Chaplin story, right? But it is, right? In Mitzrayim, nobody was given Egyptian names. Shlashina Shemon. And the most unbelievable thing is they only spoke Hebrew. Sure, they spoke Egyptian also. In every Jewish home, they only spoke Hebrew. Unbelievable. Shlashina Shemon, right? Not to believe.
How do we know that?
The Gemara says we know. I mean, it was handed down to us. You see, we didn't change our story. It's the same story we are telling for 4,000 years, right? And the third thing is, we never wore Egyptian dresses. Shloshin es malbushim. Mamish. A Jew was walking around like a Jew. I want you to know something. My Zayda, as much as I'm a little sad that he didn't talk to his daughters about Chassidus, you know, my Zayda wore a shtreimel during the week also, because he was so afraid when he walks on the street, maybe the non-Jews wouldn't know that he is a Yid. So he had a shtreimel all week long. He was 6'4". I'm sure it was a heilige Yid. He did what he thought is right. Anyway, what did we know about God in Egypt? And one more thing. The Torah tells us when we came out of Egypt, we always make mistakes. The Torah doesn't tell us that we made mistakes in Egypt. How come? Because the God awareness of us in Egypt was so strong. You know when it says, "V'yamin ha'am," that Moshe Rabbeinu came to Mamish, believed in God. Moshe Rabbeinu couldn't believe it. Didn't have Hebrew schools, they had nobody to talk to. Until Moshe Rabbeinu initiated Shabbos. Gewalt that they know. God bless you. You know when our problem began? But it was beyond us, right? I mean, it was not in our head. It was not head stuff that there is from God. It was not head stuff that I'm a Jew. It's beyond me. It was on the level, nearly no choice. It was so deep, right? When we came out of Egypt, Mamish, we understood more, right? Mamish understood. This is when the problem begins. We Mamish knew more about God, knowing, right? But you know, because of the knowing, this beyond knowing was already a little bit diminished. Diminishes the beyond knowing, right? Anyway, I want you to know this is one thing. Second thing is, which is the deepest. There was one God, right? What does it mean that God is dealing with everyone? That means that God is shining into you. Whatever you need to know about God to keep you going, this is how much God gives you. What's a good doctor? He doesn't say, here you have this bottle, drink it. He says you need three drops every 4 hours. Another sick person says you need 2 drops every hour, right? He knows exactly how many drops you need. And the Rabbi Shlomo knows exactly what I need. Right? And the third thing I want you to know also, why are some of us, God forbid, a little bit off Yiddishkeit? Because what we thought of God, we got disappointed. What we thought of Yiddishkeit, we got so disappointed. But, obviously, you see what it is? I'll tell you something. You know who's my greatest ideal Jew? Let's say the chief rabbi of St. Paulo, right? And then I'm disappointed in him, then I leave Yiddishkeit. Let me ask you something. Who told you that he's God's representative, right? He's trying his best also. He's also Nebuch. Doesn't know the difference between day and night, right? You have to know, I mean, God never disappoints you. God. You might be disappointed in what you think God is, right? You know, when I meet people who tell me that there is no God, I says, you're right. No, they say God is dead, right? You know, in the 60s, people were saying God is dead. I say, you're right, your God is dead, mine is alive, right? I'm not arguing with you. Or sometimes people tell me about God. I say, listen, you believe that there's something good in the world, right? You call it good and I call it God. There is something holy in the world. You also believe that, right? You call it holy and I call it God. It's a question of names, right? Anyway, now let's begin. First we have to realize that in history, the most earth-shaking statement ever made in the world is Onoich Hashem Elokech. God says to every one of us, not to be believed, right? I'm your God. So here the Heilige Ishbitzer begins to say, everybody knows that the word I has 2 words in Hebrew. Sometimes God says Ani, I, and sometimes God says Anochi, also means I. Okay, I'm beginning to read. Hu'inyan shnema Anochi v'lo nema Ani. Why does it say Anochi? Why doesn't it say Ani? Ki ilu hu nema Ani, hu yibamashmani v'avsiyot. When God says I, that means I'm the only one there. Nothing else exists. She'eini yisrod shum chelek. That means you have no part in God. Ki ani hem oiskis ayin she'ein odem shum tfisa v'chelek. You know, this is very deep in Chassidus and Kabbalah, that ayin means nothing. The real thing is that which is nothing by me. Nothing means I have no concept in it, right? To me it's nothing, right? I'll tell you, that's a simple thing. Okay, Brother Einstein, right? Come here, he has a blackboard, and he will write 20 X's, 20 Y's. So you'll ask me, what is this? I say, stupid, it's nothing, right? It might be the deepest thing in the world, right? It might take me 2 million years until I know what you're talking about. But for me, it looks like nothing, right? Brother Einstein. Oh. You know the famous, those 2 Jewish comedians, Siegel and Schumacher, 2 Yidden meet. One says, what about this Yid, Weinstein? He says, no, it's not Weinstein, it's Einstein. It's okay, Einstein, he says. I heard he's the big shot. He says, what's he teaching? He says, I'll tell you. I tell you, imagine you have 1 hair left on your head. It's nothing, right? You find 1 hair in the soup. That's very bad, right? So you see one is relative. Then he says, oh, I'll say something else. You are sitting with the girl for 1 minute, it looks like nothing. You are sitting 1 minute on a burning oven, right? So you see 1 minute is relative. So the other Yid says, from this kind of shtus is making a living. From this kind of nonsense he makes a living, You see what it is? When God says, Ani, is the same letter as Again. Means it's not for you. It's only God. And what you know or what you don't know has no bearing. Aber Anoichi, when God says Anoichi, Roimish kaviyochel Hashem Yisborach meshutef im Yisrael. וזה שום השם יזבורך, אנוכי שהשתתף עצם ישראל, השם אלוקים. כבר. You know what Jesus says? Onoichi means you and I. Something else. Because what's the Torah all about? The Torah is all about that mamish. It's not, God doesn't give us information about God. Mamish, humanly speaking, God came down to the world. Mamish Rabbi I know nafshi kesovis Yehovah's Mamish. God put himself into my heart. It's you and I. And you see what it is? It's very clear on Mount Sinai. We became different people. See, it's not that we were in Egypt for 210 years, then we came out on Mount Sinai and God gave me some very important information. What's that information? God created us. God created us. And you see, everybody's asking, why didn't God say, I'm the one who created heaven and earth? And here is the deepest answer. God says, so there are all kinds of answers. You're a Levi, all kinds of answers. But the real, what the Ishbita says.
So it comes from the word anat.
כשאני מדבר, אני לא יכול לספור. את לא גזלה. Yeah. Yeah. You see, if God would have told us who He is, and He says, you remember, I'm the one who created heaven and earth, then I would say, if I wanted to introduce someone who I am, I'd say, I'm Shlomo Carlebach, I have a shul in New York, something like that. I live on a moshav, So if Onoich Hashem Elokecha would be an introduction, then you're right? God should tell us the biggest thing He did. God doesn't introduce Himself to us. God is creating us. And He says, whatever you felt about God in Egypt, this is what I'm putting into your heart right now, for real. That's what I'm putting in your heart right now. You see, in Egypt we had this gewalt, this awesome, beyond, on level of nothing. There's one God, right? Imagine I meet my soulmate, right? Then I said, you know something? Even before making, I knew always you must be there somewhere. Right? I know you're there somewhere. And whatever I thought there is, that's you, right? So God says, whatever you thought of God, whatever you felt in Egypt, that's what I really am. I'm the one who got you out of Egypt. I'm the one who was guarding you. Awesome, right? You see, when everything goes, sometimes there's so much trials and tests. Whatever I think, Mama Shabosh, I want you to help me. Whatever I think at that moment, what God is all about. When it's over, God gives it to me, mamish, into my heart. Mamish into me, right? And it becomes part of me. So he says, when God says, Onoichi, means you and I. You and I. When I tell you something really awesome, a lot of people came out from Auschwitz, fire, right? I want to tell you something awesome, right? Is that something too bad? You know, the Heilige Klosenburger Hof, he was 29 or 30 when the Nazis came. Stell vor, Shlomo is never very sick right now, already for many years. He had 11 children. He got married when he was 15. It's even too cruel to say. The Nazis made a big fire outside the train to Auschwitz. And they threw in anybody who was below 18 was thrown into the fire. He saw with his eyes the burning of 10 of his children. Not to be believed, right? There were two ways of handling it. Oh, he says there is no God. So they can't be in between, you know. They cannot be in between anymore, right? All he saw given to God, believing so much, right? Beyond himself, right? Beyond himself. Beyond human vessels, right? So, anybody's ever been Shabbos in Klosenburg? I don't know if the people of the Baal Shem daven like this, you know. Awesome. Sad enough, he's already so sick for so many years. And there's nobody in the world takes his place. Or, you don't believe anymore, right? You can't take it. But those who came out from Auschwitz, you know, who are for real, what happened to them? Whatever mama she had a vision that God is all about, this is what God put into his heart. Right? Can you imagine how much God had to put into his heart at that moment that he should be able to hold on to God?
Who was this?
The Klosenburger Hof. However, Klosenburg, he's in Kiryat Sanz, you know. I mean, he's sick. He's already maybe sick for many, many years. But I'm talking now about 47, 48. He came to America, picked him up, and then he gave a long Torah, and then he davened Maariv. An ordinary weekday, right? How do we daven? Wash our hands. If you wash your hands, you daven. And while you listen to the davening, you don't know if it's Mincha, if it's Maariv, if it's Shachas, if it's Nila, if it's Yom Kippur, or it's Pesach, right? First of all, you know, the Gemara says, Chassidim or Rishonim would sit a few minutes before the davening, right? So the way he was sitting on a chair, preparing himself for davening, as they were tearing over everyone's kishkis, you know, and the davening, and after the davening. You know the Kotzker Rebbe, after he finished davening, it took him sometimes hours till he was back in the world. He was mamish not in this world. You know, I saw on others' phone, say in the morning the Kotzker Rebbe davens Shachas, right? Then let's assume the Rebbe comes to Rebbe, you want to eat something. I mean, he wasn't a human being like you and I, right? He didn't know what they're talking about. Mamish didn't know. It took him hours. It took him hours to come back to the world. But you know what God says? Whatever, ever Listen to this. Just imagine a Yid standing by the pyramids and their mamish is nearly dying. They're beating him up, the Egyptians. And this Yid knows, mamish, I'm here in Egypt to pave the way because we'll go out from here to go to Mount Sinai and God will talk to us. Right. They knew when they come out of Egypt, they go to Mount Sinai. Whatever you dreamt that this will be, this is how much I give you. This is how much I give you. So, mamish, from now on, God says it's not you and I, it's us. You see, Matan Torah took out the one me and God. It's together, right? Keep on going. Hainu ki Hashem avayu Hashem etzem. The Shem Yud Ke Vovke is God's name. The Hashem Elikim hainu kav yochel Hashem Yisrael mitzamtzim et as b'shutev v'titzchor. The Shem Elikim, everyone knows the Shem Elikim is the name of contraction. That means God says, I make myself small. Doesn't really mean I make myself small. But I make myself available that you should be able to know about me. You know something? Talking about Einstein. There was an article in the New York Times, which is really very sweet. I think I shared with you. You know, Einstein lived in New Jersey somewhere. And he was always sitting in his garden and writing. And the garden next to it lived a Jewish family, and they had a little girl of 6. And whenever he came to the garden to do his thing, he would wave at this little girl, and she would wave back. And one day she had to do some homework, mathematics. She thought maybe this uncle would help me. She walks over to him and says, could you please help me? Sure. So from that time on, whenever he did the homework for her, you know, it was so sweet. And one day she asked him, what's your name? Oh, he says, my name is Einstein. You know, because my teacher wants to know who this uncle is who helps me all the time. Then finally she comes back, you know, the teacher, her brother Einstein himself, is doing his homework, you know. He blew his mind. So he says to her, could you maybe ask your uncle if he wants to come to visit you in the school, you know? You go out for the school, all the pictures. Einstein's coming to a little public school in New Jersey, you know, we go out. So the big thing happened that Einstein explained his theory to those kids in first grade. And you see what this writer says in the New York Times, only Einstein can explain his theory to a first grader. Because it's so clear to him that he can explain it to everybody, right? Somebody else couldn't, right? You know it because you don't know it that well, right? You know what the Rabbi Shlomo says? I, the master of the world, I let you know what I'm all about, so you can understand on your level. Anoichi Hashem Elokecha. He says, Elokecha, Elokim is mamish. That means God puts into the world that I can know there is one God in the world. Right? You know, on one hand, I can live in the world and believe there is no God. Nobody stops me. On the other hand, you can stand by the ocean, look at the ocean, it's clear to you there's one God. That means God put something right there that's divine. He says, the image of his Boroi as Mimi Yisrael, Shein Kol to be Sosum Agas, the Kabbalah when God sees ever that there is somebody for whom the Torah is too high, then God, almost like Einstein, he's explaining it to this Yid. Then he's explaining it to this Yid. God can take the deepest Divrei Torah and mamish and puts it into this Yid's heart. Where's all the evil coming from in the world? And this is really the deepest depth. And this last 4 lines, I'm not going to touch right now, I'm just telling you. These for the moment. You know where all the evil is coming? Because God did not shine into them yet what God is all about. It's awesome. Why isn't God shining into them? Because every shining into the world has to be via us. We are the headquarters, right? If there's no gas in the gas station, right? I'm passing by in my car, give me gas. I'm sorry. I have no gas to sell you, right? We Yidden a gas station, right? So when we stood on Mount Sinai, Mamash, we received God and you have to give it out. And if there are very high Divrei Torahs, which could maybe wipe out that evil, which would need this kind of Divrei Torah, what if I as a Yid didn't receive them yet? So then that evil is getting stronger. That's true. And I want you to know something awesome. You see, the world didn't come to Mount Sinai. But God had invited them. God didn't invite them for nothing. See, God gave us Divrei Torah, and out of us, if they're shining into the world, they'll wipe out the evil. Wipe out evil from the world. Okay, I'll tell you something. I don't want to say anything. I don't want to go to in heaven. So listen to this. Maybe 2 Chassidish Yidden, right? They have a fight. And one Yid says to the other, Mamash, you're nothing, right? I mean, this is a miracle, it's always at the same time, right? This is very deep. I want you Mamash to listen. Oh, forget about it. I am telling, I tell you, a living example. I mentioned a lot of times. On the day Begin went to Alexandria, you know, Sadat came here. 2 weeks later, Begin went to Alexandria to meet Sadat. On that day, I went with the Chavod to the marketplace in Lud. And I saw a woman with 2 children. A little girl of 7 was walking next to her, and a boy of 5. Gewaltig, she beat up this boy in the middle of the marketplace. I ran over to her, and I said to her, yelled just loud as I could, do you know that because of you, Begin cannot do anything today in Alexandria? Because if you have no compassion with your own child, why should Begin have compassion on all of Israel? If you have no heart. You know what it is? You know what it means we are the chosen people? That we are affecting the world. We are the headquarters. Through us, the gas is going to all the cars of the world. So if I, this is my little gas station, if I'm not receiving it, I'm not giving it up. So he says that our mamash very, very high Divrei Torahs. which God wants to give you. Which God wants to give you. And if I don't receive them, then there'll be a certain evil in the world which we can't get rid of. So I mamash have to receive it. We have to receive it. Remember, we were learning it a few days ago. To receive, you know, when I'm learning something, I can say, I understood half, the other half I didn't understand. So I learned half. Receiving, you cannot say I received half. Receiving in Hebrew, hikabel means the whole thing. You know why it's Kabbalical? Everything should be I'm receiving. But anything, Gal Yishuv Torah, I'm learning Vomitzi, I know one page. Okay, you know one page. Kabbalah is something you have to receive the whole thing. Deep is where you have to sneeze. Question is, where's a humble? Where's the place of my nose? Oh, no.
Faster than I am.
Maybe you're accused. This is awesome. Every word of the Torah has something in the world against that word of the Torah. And this word of the Torah, when it's shining into the world, will wipe it out. I mean, I don't have to go with the wiper. But if I'm sitting here in Yerushalayim, and I receive it, and it's shining out, and it's wiping it out. So God says, all the highest Divot Torah, which I want to give you, I will give it to you on that level that you can take. What's a big Rebbe? A big Rebbe is who can shine into every person what they need. Right? What's a good supermarket? Friedrich Rebbe was always talking about supermarket. When I go to a supermarket, nobody expects me to buy the whole store, right? But when I go to a supermarket, I expect that all I need, I'll find. I need herring, yeah, there's herring. I need soap, yeah, there's soap. I need toothpaste, there's toothpaste, right? You know, it says, I am the Lord your God. God says, I'm your supermarket. Or whatever you need on godliness, whatever you need, Mamish, I'll give it to you. I'll give it to you. Then he says, Asher Tzichem Eretz Mitzrayim, this sort of thing. You see, when we got out of Egypt, it's not an act. God took us out of Egypt. He says, you know why I took you out of Egypt? Because the moment you reached the level that you knew this 55,000 high feet of God, at that moment Egypt disappeared, right? But in order to get out of Egypt was enough of godliness in Egypt. But mamish, to fix the world forever, the deepest depths, you have to come to Mount Sinai. And even Mount Sinai isn't finished yet. Right? You have to come to Yerushalayim. And mamish, kol zuchuv as pnei Hashem elokech. You know what it is? I mean, God isn't stingy, right? Why is Mashiach coming? It takes so long. Because in order to bring Mashiach, you have to put so much godliness into the world. So much godliness. And, you know, like, not so simple. It can go so fast. And I want you to know the deepest depths. There's a Kotzker Torah which is awesome. The Kotzker Rebbe says, Lo yeh b'chol kel zor. You shouldn't have strange gods. Doesn't turn me on. Obviously I'm not going to have strange gods. The Kotzker Rebbe says something so much more beautiful. He says, God should not be a stranger to you. The Torah from heaven. You know, it's not enough that God is shining into me. The question is, how much do you feel at home with it? You know, a lot of people, they come to Yerushalayim, it's really beautiful, but never, you know, they didn't have the privilege yet to feel at home with it. There's a Torah on the Heilige Rabbiner. Remember I told you yesterday, Ishbitzer and Kosk were the best friends. Basically, usually they say the same thing. The biggest bracha you can give a Yid is, I bless you to feel at home in Yiddishkeit. To feel at home in Yiddishkeit. You know, it's so deep. Imagine we'll sit here, we'll learn Ishbitzer, right? And I'll ask you, hopefully, Brother Shem, do you feel at home this minute with Ishbitzer, or would you feel more at home if I would tell you a dirty joke? So it's but never. Someone from the street comes in, and I'm telling him, you know, he says, not to me. So, Moshe, I'll tell you a dirty joke. If it's at home. Heartbreaking, right? Heartbreaking. You know what the most heartbreaking thing is? If you feel more at home with the Sunday times than with the Gemara Mitzvah. Heartbreaking. So I'm reading now the last three lines. God says for you, like human speaking, God says for you I'll go through the wall. For you I'll go through the wall. To shine into you what you need of God. I'm ready to give it to you. Shrak Masha Geboyim et Tvisas Yisrael. God takes the deepest divrei Torah. And here I want you to know something, going back to Toisenburg. Can you imagine the divrei Torah of Auschwitz? Everything God does is divrei Torah, right? We don't understand this Torah yet, right? But can you imagine how the Rebbe was shining into the Kloisenburger? That this is all Torah. This is all fixing the world, right? And therefore everything which is against those divrei Torah, the nation or the evil in the world, disappears. Because the moment it's coming to this world, and it finds a resting place. For real. Remember I told you about maybe 2,000 times. The last Kohen Rebbe. On his way, the guest chamber, one of the Chassidim said to him, what are you thinking of? And it's a long Torah, but I'm giving you just the essence. He says, what a privilege. Our ashes will clean the world and prepare the world for Mashiach to come. Can you imagine what kind of godliness was shining into him? Not so. You see, obviously, you know, sometimes you're going through a hard time. Because when we go through a hard time, to fathom God at that hard time, you need more of God. And if you need more of God, then God has to make it available for you. That means God says, I will make it, I'll shine into you. But you should know what it's all about. Doesn't mean I really know what I mean in my 1 and 1 is 2 level, right? We're not talking about 1 and 1 is 2. You know, the Torah is not 1 and 1 is 2. I want you to know something. Anybody who ever has the privilege of learning Gemara, you can be the top in 1 and 1 is 2, and you don't understand the word of the Gemara. The Gemara is Also one who us to, but it's a different one wants. So much deeper. Because where the most possible is that one is 2, and 2 and 2 is 7. Possible. It is possible. Because it's complete, it's a God orientation. It's not of this world. And what do we know? You see, obviously, let's take today in Israel. You know how much of God we even need to receive inside of us to understand that this is not so simple. The problem is we're looking at everything with politics. God is not politics. The Holy Land is not politics. You know, just imagine the Amshon of the Rebbe would be the Rosh HaMemshalah, right? Imagine, right? You know what would happen? First of all, the non-Jewish world would respect us so much, right? They would respect us in the most awesome way, right? It's true, no? I have nothing against Rabin, but he's representing the heathen, you know. Oh, she should live long and happy, I'm sure means well, but he can't. It's getting should know, right? So right now what God needs of us, okay, forget about politics. Forget about government. Because they are not running the country, right? Nobody was leading the world. But what kind of people of Torah we need? You know, it's clear to me, and I'm sure to you, that after the 6 million, the amount of God we need to make it is about 2 billion times stronger than what we needed before the 6 million. And you see the 6 million, they're God's gas station. They're giving it out, right? Okay, they're coming out with Gewalt messages, right? So the course Jew says, oh, you know what the 6 million want? They want a monument in Washington. Never, right? Never, something they hear, right? They feel there is a message, remember us, but this is not what they want. I want you to know something. Between people, right? There are times, I just like you, I love you, you're sweet, you're cute. There are times between people and this is not enough. You need so much more. You need so much more. Do you know so many marriages go broke? Because people think, this a man, the woman I met you, get married to you. And this it. I always tell my friends, why don't people get divorced before they get married? You know? But they give out, right? They get divorced, and then they get married. You know why? Because what they need of each other before they get married, that they have enough of, they have enough to give. But what they need after, they don't have. You see what it is? We had enough of Yiddishkeit, of God, to make it an exile. When we come back to Israel, God needs so much more, right? So much more, right? And you see, and it's very clear to me, the non-religious people, they're not against God or Yiddishkeit, but they say to the religious Jew, brother, if you are God's gas station, I need different gas. You're giving me old gas from Lodge before the war. I need gas now from Yerushalayim and Al-Kodesh, Tovshin and Gimel, right? So I say, yeah, I'll give you some. I remember I have a little piece here for my lady, you know. It's from the year 1670, you know. It's just beautiful. You want to put it in the museum? I will. I don't want to buy it. Because what I need, So what the word, and here I want you to know something. All the rabbis say the same thing. Do you think on Shavuos God gives us the same Torah He gave us last year? Every year Shavuos God gives us the Torah the way I need it right now. And we need so much, right? We need so much, right? Imagine if God would, if you would have vessels for it, right? If you would have vessels, mamish, to receive the Torah God. Awesome. So Sfiras Omer is those 49 days. Then we make vessels that the Rabbi Shlomo God should shine into us. And you see, the Anoichi could be the same one like last year in Aluzah Chash. I need the Anoichi, who mamish has to be what I need now. And then the Ishmael says, well, it's not only what you need, what God needs. What God needs of you. And you are the one who has to shine into the world. And the word doesn't mean I have to shine into Italy. Your neighbor, the world, right? The street where you walk on, it's the world. You know, it's not to be believed that Mamish on Shavuos, Mamish, I can be the lowest creep all year. You see, on Yom Kippur says, I forgive you for all your mistakes. Okay, it's good, right? I'm not knocking it. But it's not Shavuos. Shavuos is when Mamish, God puts so much God into me that I can fix the world, I can fix myself. More than fix it. Take a house, everything is fixed, everything is functioning. Doesn't mean it's the best house in the world. See, Sfiras Omer, I'm fixing everything. All the pipes, everything is working, right? Shavuos is more, something's coming down from heaven, like a new paint of the house, new furniture. Joe, will you say some Divrei Torah fast?
No, I started. You get to finish.
Oh, brother. Heilige Rabbi Rosen, you have the privilege of having you here. Shine into us a little bit. What? What do you say to me?
After these two, I'm supposed to say something?
Say anything.
I just want to thank you. I had a question that I couldn't figure out until this morning.
Yeah.
It says, right before Matan Torah, and Yeshua and I were talking about it yesterday. Moshe ala el Elokim, ve'yered Hashem el Har. Moshe goes up to Elokim.
Yeah.
But the one who's coming down isn't Elokim. The one who's coming down is Hashem.
Yeah.
And so many times I thought that maybe that's the tragedy of the way we live our lives, is that we go up, we go to meet Hashem with our perceptions, and our understanding, and our limitations. And really when Hashem comes to that moment of meeting, and He's coming from a completely different place, and what He wants to give us at that moment is a different experience than what we think we should be receiving at that moment. So as you were talking about Anochi Hashem Elokecha, and what Hashem shines into us, that's Hashem Elokecha. We go up to Elohim, and He comes down not only as Hashem, but as Hashem Elokecha.
Mamish Mimi Yagaval, but I just want to add to what you say. There's a term from the Ishbitzer, to know the future, the past, or everything, what prophecy is enough. To know what you need right now is deeper than prophecy. It's deeper than prophecy. It's awesome, right? Why is Moshe Rabbeinu, the Torah is Moshe Rabbeinu's prophecy, right? Why do you say, "V'lekom no v'oid Moshe"? I mean, what can you say more than Yeshaya, right? But Moshe Rabbeinu knows what every Yid that he meets today, what he meets tomorrow, the day after, right? Not what there will be or won't be. Mamish, every Moshe, every Yankele, Moshe Rabbeinu Mamish knows what he needs and how much he can take. And you're right, you see, Moshe Olu Lakim, because Moshe Rabbeinu is the master of putting God into everybody's heart. So he went up to headquarters of Elohim, you know, gave them the list. This Hidel needs 5 tons. This Hidel can only take 3 kilo, you know. And Ishbel is very strong. Moshe Rabbeinu was mamish, making a place for every Yid. See, when God says to Moshe, make a place for every Yid around Mount Sinai, doesn't mean just physically. God gave Moshe the secret how much of Mount Sinai should shine into every Yid. So you'll ask me, how can Moshe Rabbeinu do this in 3 days? Just to write names, you know. Cards for your place takes longer. I just want you to know one thing. The Holy Sanza is not Moshe Rabbeinu, right? The Holy Sanza, every Friday would shake hands, let's say, with 1,000 Chassidim before Shabbos. And on the winter Friday, how long does it take? Just to shake hands, without saying anything, it's 1,000 people. And Sam's the whole thing took a few minutes. Because it was beyond time and space. Always. Do you know what some Sefer in the Besmedrash was maybe space for 20 people? And the fact is that the yeshiva had 300 students. Then he left the world, his son, the Ksafsar. And the most earth-shaking, the next day they wanted to see if the miracle will happen again. It happened. 300 Chaver walked in, enough space. Sadly enough, heartbreakingly enough. Then the Ksaf Sofer left the world, and the next day 300 people walk in, couldn't get in anymore. It was a Shevet Sofer. Heartbreaking. Oh, what can you do? What can you do? Time is now officially 12 o'clock. I cannot, who am I to tell you? Nobody, you can tell them to be here 8 o'clock. But whatever it is, please bring some matzah tonight. Wherever you can dig up a little matzah left. What do you say, Doris?
I would say to dig up some matzah. Bring some friends.
And then you can bring also some lemonade or Coke.
You know, bring something to drink, whatever. Also bring, Shlomo in the good old days used to talk about matzah as money also. And so, I mean, if you have any other matzah to bring, by all means bring that too. But bring friends. What we'll do, you know, we'll try and make this more open, and maybe just say to people 20 shekels if we can really get a good crowd, and you know, but somehow to also make this possible. Like I said, we can't do these things without the matzah to do it, and so we're trying to find ways that we can have this kind of learning ongoing with Shlomo, and it can only happen by
we need enough matzah to buy bread.
Yeah, we need enough matzah to buy bread. So, do you want to learn any more still today? I mean, do you want to take a break and learn a little bit more? You want to?
Let's leave it right now. You want to learn a little bit more, yeah?
No, I don't know. I'm just.
I don't know what For me, it's better if they can stay because I have so much to do because I'm leaving tomorrow morning.
Yeah.
Well,
Can all of you come tonight? Yeah, we'll probably start in Hebrew at like 8. And I'm not expecting a lot of Hebrew speakers. We're going to tell them, look, we have to go with the numbers right now.